You didn't buy anything different. Same groceries, same brands, same list you've been running for 3 years. The total is $67 more than it was 18 months ago. You stand there, doing the math in your head, the way you always do now, trying to figure out where the extra money went. And then you get home, open your phone, see the headline. Inflation cools to 2.4%. Economy remains strong. And you just stare at it because you just paid $67 more for the same cart of groceries, and the headline is telling you everything is fine. So which one is it? Because one of these things is lying to you, and in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which one. Let's start with the headline everyone keeps repeating. Inflation is at 2.4%. The Fed's target is 2%. Mission accomplished, right? Here's what that number actually means, and this is the part that will permanently change how you read economic news. A 2.4% inflation rate does not mean prices went down. It does not mean things got cheaper. It does not mean anything went back to normal. It means prices are still going up, just slower than before. That's it. That's the entire announcement. Prices are still rising, just at a slightly less brutal pace than last year. The 25% price spike since 2020, that's permanent. That's your new floor. And now prices are climbing another 2.4% on top of it. Economists call this disinflation, and it is one of the most psychologically manipulative terms in modern finance, because when your brain hears inflation is cooling, it translates that to things are getting better, but nothing reversed. Imagine you gained 50 pounds over 2 years, and in the third year, you only gained 2 pounds. Your doctor says, great news, your weight gain is slowing dramatically. Technically accurate, but you're still 52 pounds heavier. You still can't fit into your old clothes. The trend improving doesn't undo the damage already done. That's what inflation is cooling means for your wallet. The damage is baked in, and unless your income outpaced it, you don't recover from this. You just adjust downward and call it normal. Now, here's where the official story gets genuinely creative. The data says wages grew 4.1% last year, while inflation ran at 2.4%. That sounds like progress. That sounds like you should be getting ahead. Let me introduce you to two people. Sarah works in finance in Chicago. Her salary went up 4.3% this year. She is beating inflation. The headline is true for Sarah. Michael works in food service in the same city. His wages went up 1.4%. Inflation ran at 2.4%. Michael is getting poorer every single month. He's working the same hours, showing up every day, doing everything right, and his purchasing power is declining. The Atlanta Federal Reserve found that in 2025, only 57% of American workers saw their paychecks grow faster than inflation. That means 43% of working Americans were actively losing purchasing power, nearly half the workforce, getting poorer while the headline celebrated the average. The average wage growth number is not a description of your reality. It is a mathematical artifact produced by combining Sarah's experience and Michael's experience into a single number that accurately describes neither of them. You are not the average. You are either Sarah or Michael. And if you've been feeling like the economy doesn't match the headlines, there's a very good chance you know which one you are. Okay. Now let's talk about the thing that makes all of this worse, the invisible tax. Because it's not just that prices went up and wages didn't fully keep pace, it's that the way prices went up was specifically engineered to be invisible. You know what shrinkflation is, but you probably don't know how aggressive it got. The U.S. Government Accountability Office tracked common household goods in 2025. Coffee containers went from 12 ounces to 10.5, pasta boxes from 16 ounces to 14. And here's the number that should make you put down whatever you're eating right now. Among the products that were downsized, the per unit price increases ranged from 12% for paper towels to 32% for coffee. 32% hidden inside a container that looks almost exactly the same. Consumer Worlds documented that Simply orange juice went from 52 ounces down to 46, Riffles chips from 9 ounces down to 8.5. The Consumer Advocate tracking these changes made a point that should genuinely bother you. There is almost no product category, except maybe eggs, that hasn't been downsized over the past few years. This is inflation you cannot see on a price price tag. Psychologists call this change blindness. Your brain is wired to detect sudden dramatic shifts. A bag of chips jumping from $4 to $6, you notice. You get angry. But that same bag quietly losing an ounce while the price stays put, your brain doesn't flag it. The packaging looks the same, the price looks the same. You walk out feeling like everything is normal. It's not normal. You're buying less with the same money, and the official inflation statistics barely capture it. Now, let me introduce you to shrinkflation's cousin, the one that's even sneakier. It's called skimpflation, and it's when companies don't shrink the size, they degrade the quality. A major vegetable oil spread brand reduced its fat content by 7.5% in 2025. Same container, same price, less of what you were actually buying. One popular dessert brand reduced its milk fat in its ice cream below the federally required 10%. You know what that means? It can no longer legally call itself ice cream. It is now labeled, and I want you to really sit with this, frozen dairy dessert. Same brand, same packaging, same price, fundamentally different product. And my personal favorite, a national hamburger chain increased the fat content in their burgers by nearly 30% while decreasing protein by almost 10%. You are paying the same amount for worse food, and unless you're reading nutritional labels with a magnifying glass and a spreadsheet, you would never know. This is the invisible tax. Not invisible because it's small, invisible because it was designed to be. The official inflation number measures price changes. It does not measure value changes. And in 2025, the value of what your dollar buys has declined significantly faster than any price tag suggests. Here's the thing that is genuinely baffling economists right now. GDP is growing. Corporate profits are at record levels. Consumer spending is technically healthy. By every traditional measure, the economy is performing well. And yet, the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index hit 55.5 in early 2026. The 70-year average is around 85. The all-time low was 50, set in June 2022 when inflation peaked at 9.1%. We are not at peak inflation anymore, not even close, but people feel almost as bad as they did when it was at its worst. Economists have started calling this the Boomcession. The numbers say one thing, the people living inside those numbers say something completely different. And here's why. Your brain doesn't operate on year-over-year percentage data. It operates on accumulated experience. Research shows that humans anchor their financial expectations to the recent past, and when you compare today's prices to that anchor, that 25% spike in 6 years, the gap feels enormous because it is enormous. The University of Michigan survey found that 46% of respondents spontaneously mentioned high prices as causing a drag on their personal finances. Not because someone asked them about prices, they just brought it up, unprompted. Psychologists call this chronic financial stress. It's not the sharp panic of a recession, it's the slow erosion of feeling like you can never quite get ahead. Your bills are paid, your job is stable, but the math just doesn't add up the way it used to, and no GDP chart can make that feeling go away. Here's the insight that reframes everything. The metrics we use to measure economic health were not designed to measure your experience. GDP was created in 1937. The Consumer Price Index was developed in the early 1900s. These tools were built when the economy was primarily manufacturing-based, when a single income could support a family. They measure aggregate output. They do not measure whether that output reaches you. According to Moody's, total consumer spending in America is now driven by the top 20% of earners than at any point in modern history. They are the ones propping up the spending numbers. They are the ones making GDP look healthy. They are the ones the averages reflect. Meanwhile, a McKinsey survey from late 2025 found that 75% of consumers reported trading down in at least one category. 3 out of 4 people buying cheaper versions of the things they need, while the headline says the economy is strong. The scoreboard was never built to show your score. It was built to show the aggregate. And as long as the top 20% are spending, the aggregate looks fine, regardless of what is happening to everyone else. Here's what I want you to actually hear. You are not imagining it. You are not bad with money. You are not failing at some game that everyone else is winning. You are living in a system where the rules changed and the scoreboard didn't. Prices went up 25% in 6 years and never came back down. Wages grew, but not for everyone, and not fast enough to close the gap. Products got smaller while the boxes stayed the same size, and the official measures kept saying improvement because the rate of damage slowed down. Not the damage itself, just the rate. Your brain has been doing the math this entire time. Every grocery run, every utility bill, every insurance renewal. It was tracking something real, something the official data is too blunt to capture. The shrinkflation, the skimpflation, the fee increases buried in terms of service updates. Your nervous system was processing all of it, even when you couldn't articulate exactly what felt wrong. That feeling wasn't anxiety. That was pattern recognition. And now you have the language for what it's been trying to tell you. The gap between what the economy says and what your wallet says isn't a glitch. It's a feature. The metrics were never designed to measure your